Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday evening. Before I say anything, want to completely apologize to my co host, Jody, for putting wrong intro in. I swear, one of these days I'm going to get it right. One of these days. How are you doing, Jody?
I'm good. How are you?
I am really good. I was prepared for this until like the last 10 seconds. And then I was like, "Oh my god. I don't have the intro. I got to switch brands."
That's how it usually goes, last minute, you already know me.
Yeah. Oh, we have comments already. I'm excited. Oh, Tom says hi. Hi, Tom. So, I was doing research on this today, and I know that you have done research on this subject previous
hmm
about multicultural um, kids and people, and both of you and I are multicultural. But I'm going to ask you to start off with this one because you've done other shows about this, and you did some more research probably than I did
Okay.
on that.
Um, so me personally, I don't identify as multicultural. I literally identify as mixed because I am African American and white. Um, I guess to me, multicultural is like more than three things, or biracial to me is like where it's like more like black or black and Mexican, white and Mexican, Asian and black, and like I don't know. So I identify as just mixed. I used to um kind of struggle like saying, like what color am I? And then like the year 2020 just hit and I was like, you know what? I'm not black and white. I'm both. So now I kind of go based off of I'm both. I'm mixed. I'm a new culture. We have our own culture. Um, a lot of people look at multicultural people as just being easy on the eyes. Statistically, it is like really all they think about us. And I don't know why that is the case because I've seen a few that were not the case. No, I'm just kidding. But like literally when I did all the research, like every single article probably has on there that biracial people or multiracial people, multicultural people are easy on the eyes. So it's just weird to me that that's what they think of us.
I mean, if they want to call me easy on the eyes, I'll take
I
it.
mean,
But
take it.
but I get what you're saying because I'm not white. I am 50% German and 50% Mexican. I know exactly. My grandparents came from Germany right after World War II, and so I've always had to fight to prove that I was Mexican. But I wouldn't have to claim my German side because I mean, I'm not, I'm very light skinned, but my dad's family is very light skinned, and I have a lot of cousins who should be chiming in. One of them should be chiming in on we've always had to prove that we were Mexican. My brother even got in a
Yeah,
fight with somebody at school to prove that he was Mexican, and it turns out we were related.
that is true. I have some cousins that actually they're all mixed like me. They're, biracial, well, mixed black and white, and they literally look like white. And they like got to the point where they were tired of like proving themselves to people or trying, to tell people like, hey, I am black or this is my family. Luckily, like honestly, my family last name is huge, huge in racing. So once they hear the last name, like they really can't argue with you, but they will do it because if there's different features sometimes. I have a lot of mixed cousins that have the blonde hair, but they have the blue eyes. The hair is real curly, and a lot of people don't know what color I am. A lot of times they'll ask me like what I
I
do.
I have known you since you were 7. So if anyone doesn't know, Jody and I have been friends since we were 7 years old in first grade.
Long
I thought
time.
you were Puerto Rican.
A lot of people do.
And
I'll go Puerto Rican. People have gone as far as Brazilian, I think, because of my eye color. And I'm like, I don't even know what a Brazilian looks like, but I mean, like, where you guys get this from? But I try not to, like, I always tell people it doesn't matter, like, I'm human. But I love, I guess, being what I am, because you do get the best of both worlds. There are different cultural differences in both sides, and
yeah,
I get to experience both of them. Some not always good, but for the most part, good. I don't know. I just think it's a beautiful thing. Like, why you can't go wrong.
I did. Yeah, I did get some feedback, like some bad um backlash, because on the show where we were talking about um Black Lives, Matter, and we stand together, I did say that I have used white privilege at when I needed it to, like when I got pulled over, or something like that. They see me and they're like, oh, like I can tell the difference coming up to me. It's a different approach than once they get to my door. And it's not that I denounce one or the other at any point in time. It's, if you understood, I was not ethnic enough for the anyone who was a minority, like growing up kids wise. They were like, oh yeah, she's a white girl. But because of my last name, and because I grew up in a household that had cultural, for Hispanic, and my mom, even though she's not, she, learned how to cook, and she knew, the traditions and things like that. She told us about them, as well as my dad did, because my father was there too. But they would always, like, I'd be like, you're doing what? Because that's not how it went. I wasn't grown up in a traditional all-American household.
Yeah. I guess now that you say that, I do see a lot of girls that'll have mixed kids, and then maybe they don't have a relationship with their father, who is actually the African American. So now they have these mixed children, and these mixed children have no idea about their African American culture, because it kind of is not there, because the mom is Caucasian and she doesn't, know. So now these kids are kind of like growing up, and they don't know, like, I am blessed enough to know both sides. And I mean, I have my certain things that I eat on holidays that are, more for my African American family, but then I get, like, some of my friends' kids will be like, well, what's that? And I'll be like, what do you mean, what's that? Like, you're black, right? Like, you don't do things like, so I mean, I kind of feel bad for them kids, because honestly, it is too, and even the Hispanic, like, you guys do things, like, things are totally different sometimes. Like,
Well,
a lot of people will be like, well, white people this, and I'm like, I mean, I guess if you want to say it like that, but like, I eat cheese and bread every day, but I'll also eat greens and
well,
macaroni too. Like,
I, I'm going to tell a little story real quick about Mexican culture compared to like an all-American culture. So when my mom started dating my father, and they started young, I mean, they were like 14. So I don't know when this exactly happened, where she went over to their house to eat for a certain holiday. And they say, okay, food's done. Well, my mom gets up out of her chair and goes and makes herself a plate and then sits down. And
did your dad
all the women are just like holding still, like looking, and then looking at my mom. And my mom's like, what? Like, what did I do? She's like, well, you didn't feed Teddy. How is he going to eat? And my mom's like, he's going to get his ass off the chair and go get some food. That was the last time she ever did that. She, after that time, she makes him a plate. And growing up, even when we were eating at dinner, my mom would make my dad a plate. She would make us a plate. Then she would make, she would make herself a plate and we would wait and sit down and eat. So when I started dating the boy's dad, Joe, um, he he's sitting down and it's on Easter. Was it Easter? Yeah, it was Easter. He just said yes. Um, I looked at him and I said, "Do you want me, what do you want on your plate? I'm going to go make your plate." His cousins, his aunt, even his mom stopped mid chew and looked at me like I had lost my damn mind. To
We
make,
we do that. I mean, like on my African American side, we do that, but
but
not so much the other side.
now I hope she's listening. My sister-in-law, it's a whole joke between us because she says if she has to make my brother a plate, he's just going to damn starve. She will not do it.
I mean, maybe it's a change with the times too, though, because honestly, like sometimes I'll be like, okay, well, what do you want? Or when I was with my daughter's dad and his family, like would have like a gathering or something, I kind of felt like you need to go make my plate. Like this is your family, so we kind of started it like where we began. Like, okay, if we were at my family's, I would make his. If we were at his family's, he would make mine. Or then we got comfortable enough to where like we're both up making our own plates, or like it wasn't, but. I mean, honestly, like, yeah, like we do that too. And then you get your African American or your Caucasian side, and they'll be like, "What are you doing? Like, you don't need to make his plate. He's a man
Right?
to make his own plate." And I'm like, okay, yeah, like I feed my kid, like she gets her plate first. I see a lot of controversy about that too. Like, do you make your husband or your boyfriend the kid's dad or whatever? Who gets their plate first? Honestly, a real man is going to say the kids eat first. Like,
Well,
but some
in
cultures
our
are different.
in our in our situation, our relationship, that we've always gotten the kids plates together, but that's only because I have a basketball team. And
Yeah, see.
then I will make his plate and then we will sit down together. But when we only had one, I would make his and the babies and then I would make mine. I can hold two plates at one hand and like set one down and scoop something and then set one down and scoop something. But it really is a cultural thing, and I think it is almost like a respect, kind of like when guys open females' doors. I think that is the most romantic thing ever, and it should never stop.
Yeah, it's so crazy though too because nowadays, like a lot of things, I don't know. Like when our parents got married, they were in it for the long run. Our generation, I think we were pretty much in it for the long run. But then you get the next generation, and they're kind of like, "Oh, I just want his last name. I just want a kid by him. He's real popular in the streets." And like that stuff is so different nowadays. Like, I mean, to me, when you get married, it's a forever thing. Like, you have to work it out. You don't do it for certain reasons. If you have to really think about it when he proposes to you, or if you're the woman proposing to him, it's probably not the best thing. I'm very old school, I guess, too.
I
So,
I mean, I maybe I am in a way still really old school because if you're gonna take a man's ring, take the ring, you should. I mean, take his last name.
yeah.
But we're getting off the subject. Um, with well, maybe it is a cultural thing about taking the last name
I
because
mean, I think I could see it in Caucasian. I could see them being more opted not to do that. Actually, I know everyone I know that's done it has been Caucasian. Um, we
Yep.
actually have a lawyer, a DA embracing that she did not take her husband's last name, and nobody knows that it's her husband, and he's a judge in a different county, and like it's weird, but like it's always been Caucasian people that I see do that. Whereas like Mexicans are black, blacks are Mexicans, like we are very similar. Um, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever experienced any white privilege. I have been racial profiled in a certain county that we have like west of the I for the first time in my life, I was just like, okay, like I never really thought about being mixed as a problem until I think the last few years, and then the rioting and the protests. It's really tiring, you guys. Like you guys think you guys are fighting white and blacks or blacks and whites, and then we got the Latinos and the refugee camps. It's very tiring trying to choose sides when I see so many wrong in both sides. If I try to speak up and give somebody the knowledge, or hey, coming from someone that has both sides in them, you should probably try to listen to me a little bit. And that's kind of what brought me to saying, you know what, hey, I'm not either one anymore. I'm mixed. It's a new culture. And I think that it's time that we stand up as mixed people, biracial people, however you identify it, black and white. We are becoming huge. The next 50 years, they say that only 7% of the population will only be biracial. I beg to differ by a huge, huge
We're already
amount,
past that.
because
I
we are
just
past
looked that
that.
up.
It's crazy how they try to limit us. But then another thing too, back in the days with biracial people, this is how they determined what color they put on your birth certificate. The doctor did it. And he actually, if your parents looked more of the Caucasian, then you were labeled Caucasian. If they looked more African American, then you were African American. And that's how you got your color on your birth certificate. And I keep saying I actually have to check mine because I don't even know.
I know that growing up, my mom put Mexican. They asked her, I believe. And mine does say Hispanic, but
And you know why though? Did
because of
she
my
ever get,
father's last name.
so like a lot of people, have you ever had people tell you to like put your minority because they think you can get more grants or more
Yeah,
scholarships, or
that's why my mom always has told me to do that, so I
isn't
could
that
get more
isn't that weird? I mean, I guess I've
because
always
we're a minority. Minority is to help bring us up. That's what they typically try and do. But what it's hard for the multicultural aspect of a person to know where to fit in. And that's what always messed me up, because seeing me, see, it says goes by what your father is,
see, and I
grandpa.
was gonna just say something about that. Now, I'm going to beg to differ on that too. Years ago, it used to be if your father had 1% of, or if you had 1% of black
10%.
blood, or your
10%.
father is black, you're considered all black. That is, we're trying to come away from that. So now that we're trying to move forward and leave them days in the past, I try to leave that there because that was more fitting with the slavery days, where that's why if you think about it, you cannot name 10 people that are 50 years or older right now off the top of your head that are actually just literally solid black and white, or literally think about it, because they exist, but they were not labeled. They were labeled black, all black. They were not labeled biracial or mixed back then. They were literally, and now they're gone. They're in the South. They're all over, but they do with their culture, how strong it was. They actually ended up looking a lot more black than, I mean, I have people that look like literally my great great grandma. They migrated from Mississippi, and they actually made um my great great grandma and her sister actually made a way for our family to migrate to Wisconsin, first to Milwaukee and then to Wisconsin. Had we had not did that, we would have never made it here based on, but they looked like white women and they used it to their advantage to get all of our family over here, is how they did it. Like literally, have you seen them? I mean, they're both passed away now, but totally look white, like you would have no idea, and they literally use that to their advantage. And this was probably 90 to almost 95 years ago, where they like literally used it to their advantage to get the rest of us here, and it really worked. Like our family literally migrated and we're all here, and had they not did that, could you imagine abolishing slavery in 1979 in Mississippi for the last state? Like that was like 3
Right.
years before I was born. So I hate to see, it's breaking my heart right now, what's going on in the world. I don't want to choose sides. I will be a realist and I will tell people, hey, um, you're being racist yourself and you call someone else a racist in the same sentence that you're being racist in, that's unacceptable. There's a lot of things that are unacceptable in both parties. So I have to stay in my medium now and accept for this is my culture. And I wish a lot more biracial people would start standing their grounds and saying, hey, 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 I'm not Caucasian. I'm not Caucasian. I'm not, you know, Black and Caucasian, Mexican and Caucasian. I'm mixed. I'm biracial. I'm multicultural, however you want to say it as. But you definitely are. We are a new culture. And part of our culture, I think, is to be a little crazy. But
I say I'm
that's
a
because
designer. You know
by
how like
choice. Tell
they
them
have
designer by choice. Tell them whatever. I'm a chameleon. What are they? A chameleon.
billion. I always say I'm
Whatever
designer because
fits
you know
the
they have the designer dogs that are like two breeds. I say I'm a designer human like person because I am 50-50, you know. I got
and it's funny too because I have mixed cousins, which I'm sure you probably have, like maybe some of this too. So I have some mixed cousins that some of them are married to a Caucasian man and their children look absolutely white. And then like my daughter, I'm mixed and her dad is African American. She looks pretty much, she is all black. But she looks, she's 75%, but if you look at it, she's really 100%
okay, I'm not
black.
exactly sure of this. Who ain't biracial? Oh, I was reading it wrong
Oh yeah,
before.
we all are to a certain extent, and that is true, and that's why I think we're all multicultural, because if you go back and do like the DNA, which we probably should have did that, huh? We
No,
should have
I
did
won't do
that. Would
it.
have been
I won't
why?
do it because so afraid like I'll have like a fourth or fifth cousin that's like committed a horrible crime and then I'm the reason they get caught. Nope, won't do it.
I don't know. I just would have liked to know like what my, and which I get, like I'm very like, and that's another thing too with both sides that differ. My Caucasian side is more opted to, they're not very family orientated compared to my African American side. We are very loving. We are show each other love. We touch, we hug, we tell each other we love each other. That is not so common on my Caucasian side. So
Oh,
growing
that's
up, I kind of had to, if I didn't have that side, I don't know if I would even probably have feelings
I
because
am that's that my mom's side, I am very close with, all of that. Well, most of them. There's one that's not, but um the most of us are pretty close and if we call each other, we need each other, it's there. But on my mom's side, my grandfather we called Opa, that's grandpa in German, and we
mm-mm.
um he did an ancestry back to the 1600s. So I know everything on the German side back to 1600s. But a funny part of that is where my Oma, which is grandma in German, said where she grew up is now in Poland. So when they would fight, he would call her Polish. And I'm telling you, anything in arm's reach would go thrown at him because
A
she was
lot of people take that offensive for some reason. I don't know
because
what it is.
the Germans have very strong lineages, like to their country. I mean, they just do. It's just part of their
I
blood.
think everybody does, but us nowadays, huh? Isn't that something?
I do though. Like my grandparents both wrote a book on both Oma and Opa, and I don't know my dad's side as much. I know my great grandma and grandpa, and I know like all the children that they have. And if I see people and I think that they look like I might really be related, because they all kind of look have like the same face shape, and I'm like, who's your grandpa? And I was like,
That's how
okay.
my family is. We all look like somebody down, like our genes are so strong. I could be somewhere and I'll like hear somebody say they have my last name and I'll like literally wait around on them. Like, let me just stalk them down and see like how are they in my family? Like,
Now,
and it's weird because my grandpa, my dad's dad, was like a Rolling Stone for real. Like, I cannot
yeah.
make this up. He has kids all over the states. Like, there's like one dropped all over. Like, we literally just found the last one like maybe 5 years ago, and she's like 60 or older. But it's weird because I'll be like, geez, like how, like I'll wait on these people. Like I'll be like, how do you have my last name? Like, where did you come from? And they'll be like, well, how do you have my last name? So I don't know. It's just weird how I guess the
So
times have changed, but now like
when
we're not
dating,
going anywhere.
when you date and you date somebody, do you like have somebody you call? Like before I went on a date with my husband, I would say I called my tia and I'm like, tia, okay, so his mom's name is this, his aunt's name is this, and his grandma's name and grandpa's name is this. Am I related? And she was like, no, mija, no. I was like, okay, gotta go, bye. And I would
No,
get finished, got ready.
'cause I learned the hard way about that. So now I know like all the last names that are in my, and it's literally, it's crazy because it's not with my Caucasian side. It's a very small side on that side. So it's always my African American side. But we have like certain last names in Racine that are really Gandhis, and
Yeah.
but they were married. You know, the lady was married, so she
Mhm.
carried the last name, and that gave all the other ones. But they're really us. So like I
Yeah.
learned the hard way. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's so many. So now I like got down to my family tree. So like any different missing last names or any, I always I don't have to check anymore. Like I could be like, okay, you know what? You have that last name. It's on my family tree branch. We're good. We're just gonna be friends. Then because it was like one point when I was young, like I didn't know. Like I'm like
Yeah.
talking to like certain people and I'm like, oh my God, just hold up, wait a minute. Like I think we're related. I think let me talk to my dad. So that part is funny because that is like crazy that that does happen, huh?
Yeah, it does. I have never had that experience, but I have because I've always called. But yeah. Or my dad.
Oh, like
Um
let me make sure here that we're but it is true because we usually do have big families. And
yeah.
that's another
Do
difference. You know,
you
there's so many cultural differences and I just really want to see what other people like us, I guess, kind of like what do they think, especially after do you remember being young when we were
yeah,
young and people would always say like people were growing up mixed and they would have like a hard life. I've never had a hard life or experienced a hard life being mixed. I've always loved it. I've never even began to look at it
I have.
different until the last 2 years, not even the last year with all this stuff that's going on. But
I
LL Cool
have.
J, he in the beginning of like, all the protesting and riots, I don't like to use Black Lives Matters because I feel like so many people are misunderstood and have no idea. Like I just rather not even use that word.
Okay.
But um, LL Cool J, if you guys ever want to like look it up, there's like he does like this little talk show thing that he does, and he went off for like mixed people. He was like, "How do you think these people feel when they go home, and they got one parent that is this color and one parent that's color that they're this color, and they're sitting at the dinner table having dinner together, and both sides of their families are at war. How do you think these people feel?" Like he was crying, like he touched base on it so hard
Well,
because it can be such a big, so
why
many people hated it, color, but they touch crayons. If you don't like color, don't touch crayons either. Like color is beautiful.
well, I did have a hard upbringing with not looking that I look like a minority. And I did have to sometimes almost like, I mean, people would want me to prove myself. And it was a really um hard on on me mentally because I just knew what I was and how I felt. And people say, well, you don't act Mexican. I was like, what do you want me to do? Go get a sombrero? Like, and start doing
They
the
want you.
Mexican hands?
They want you to. But that is crazy because I mean, I could see you having because and to be honest, in every Latino family, if anyone had any common sense, there's always one that looks white in every single family. And I know someone who has literally the same child's father and mother, and one of their kids look totally Hispanic and the other one looks totally white. Like she's fighting for her life to be her culture. But like at the end of the day, what Mexican family do you know that does not have the one that looks all the way white, or mixed families where you got the blue hair, the blonde hair,
Okay,
the curly blonde hair, and the blue eyes?
I'm pulling up a picture because I'm going to show the difference of two kids that should look identical because they're twins and they're not. One is very dark complected. The other one has like dirty dishwan blonde hair.
And you
And
know what? It's crazy the way that you have to like a lot of the black people think they don't know what color I am. A lot of times they'll think I'm Mexican or Puerto Rican. A lot of Mexicans think I'm Mexican. They'll just start speaking Spanish to me. And I'll be like, hold them up. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about here, but look. So it's weird because a lot of black people will like not know what color I am. And then when I talk, they'll be like, oh, you're black. And I'm like, I guess, like, if that's what you want me to be, I mean, I'm mixed, but, and then a lot of white people don't know. And then when I talk, they'll say the same thing. Like, are you black? Like, I thought you were this until you talked. And then I'm like, well, dang, I didn't know the way you talk could actually define your color. But I mean, I guess anything goes these days, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm pulling it up right now because this is my life, you know. Now, this is my parents,
I haven't seen
my
them in
mom,
years.
my mom and my dad. And this one, the one that is in the blue shirt, they are twins. Hold on, let's see if wait. Yeah, they're twins. And there's the other one that's right below it is his twin brother and does not look.
They're so different. They really are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean they're from the same blood. They you know, they came out at the same time,
I
you
remember,
know.
look, we were both going through it. It was rough.
Yeah.
All these,
Yeah.
maybe it was the biracialness, huh?
Maybe. But you know, and then you see little Jojo right here who is, you know, a completely different, you know, they all look a little bit different.
He looks like his dad, actually.
Yeah, he does.
He
Yeah, he
looks just
does.
like him. He big time. And then you got the little yes sir right here who just is
Yeah,
just
he is like a
talkative and
mixture. Yes.
he's a and then you
But
got he's all quiet. So like yeah, I mean they it isn't it weird how like they're literally twins, but they do
yeah,
like
I
one I
mean,
guess looks like you, but then the one on the top like he doesn't. I don't know who he looks like.
he looks like me, this little one right here. That's how
You
I
think
looked, but like
so?
yeah, yes, but dark skinned. I had light skin. He looks like my mom's side of the family. This one, we're not sure who his parents are. And
Oh,
once we do, we can drop them off somewhere. And
he's
then
funny. Leave him alone.
this one right here is all his dad. 100% his father.
He is. He looks exactly like his dad. He does.
Yeah.
So it goes to show, like, even if you watch like the Mexican, the Latino channel, you'll see
Yes.
like on the talk shows, a lot of them women look like straight white women. If they did not speak Spanish or say anything to you and you just seen them walking by, you would think it was a white woman because they do look, I think I have a special gift because I'm mixed. So it's easy for me to tell like Puerto Rican, which Puerto Ricans are similar a lot, very heavy to African Americans. So I
Mm-hmm.
get it. And then I have like my eyes, and I think that's where the people will be like Brazilian. But I mean, I can see them easily, and I can see you having to like fight your way through because so many people don't want to believe, which
Don't you
I don't
remember
know,
that? Don't you remember me fighting my way through like everything? Like,
because they don't, because you look like that
because
one.
I was a goody two shoes. I was so okay. I grew up in a Mexican household. My dad was strict. He was not like messing around. I was afraid of him. I did not want to get in trouble because I didn't want to have to deal with the repercussions of having to tell my dad. Like, I was the only girl, and they have a different standards for their girls compared to their boys. 100%.
Yeah.
My little brother came home one time after work and was like, okay, mom, dad, I got two girls coming over. I need you to go upstairs. And my dad was like, all right, come on, Lily. And my mom's like, what? If I would have said, hey, mom, dad, I'm having two boys come over. We're going to watch a movie. I need you to go
Absolutely
upstairs.
no.
My dad would have super glued his ass to his chair.
Absolutely not. Yeah, there is. And I don't know if that's just like a boy thing too. Like, why do the boys get to, but that's how, like, or if it's not your dad, you have your brothers who are overprotective. And like, my brother is like, no, like, you're not, no, no, you're not dating. You're grown. I can bring someone to your house, but you're in your own house. And I would rather you not have anything going on because I'm like, oh, okay, this is really weird. But, and it's probably because they're males and they're protective. And, like we're the girls and it's their job kind of almost too.
My dad
So,
would send my brother because we had a rec room in the basement. They would send my little brother down to watch what exactly we were doing. And so he was a little tattletale, made sure I was behaving. But my brothers weren't really overprotective. They were just happy if I was out of the house most of the time.
oh, so you didn't have to fight them while they watch WrestleMania at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning?
No, they were watching YouTube, like cartoons or whatever, and I was in their hair. I was a girly girl. I liked makeup. I liked doing my hair. I liked painting. I liked Barbies. I mean, My Little Pony, you name it, growing up. And they wanted nothing to do with makeup. They wanted nothing to do with nail polish. They wanted nothing to do with dollhouses.
They wanted it
So,
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
So they're like,
I don't know. I
let's
guess I
watch.
just, it would be nice to see, like, I don't know, maybe we should put a poll up in the group after this and just see, like, I don't know. I just want to know where everybody stands at, kind of, that is like our mixed people, our biracial people, our multicultural people. Like, where do you guys stand? Like, when you're strictly black and white, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, if you guys get reparations, I'm sorry, black people, I'm coming to the table too. I definitely am, because you know what? Like, we were treated bad. Like, we were raped to get here.
Yeah.
Like, our mothers were raped and by usually the slave masters, and, like, it goes way back, but we've been through a lot and we still go through a lot, and it's very heartbreaking right now seeing all sides fight. I don't like that, and I don't want to
I
have
think
to
we
pick
have to
or
stop
choose sides.
fighting each other.
And it's part of the
And
plan too. They want us to do this, and my thing is, like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, I love both sides, but I am a right for right, wrong for wrong, very realistic and very realist. And a lot of people, I don't care if you are black or white, if you are doing something wrong and it's unethical and unmoral, and you're talking racial slurs or any of that, like, we have a situation, because I'm going to definitely say, hey, you know what? Like, don't do that. Like, you can't be black and say, oh my God, that cracker is racist. Well, you just made a racial slur too. Like, you have to be realistic and you have to stand your grounds. You have to know your worth. You have to know who you are. You have to be confident. And it took me a long time to ever, like, recognize, like, I guess I was going to have to get to this point one day, but I'm
yeah.
here, and now I do identify as straight and mixed. And when I say mixed, I literally don't leave room for anybody but black and white, strictly black and white. That's why biracial, I say, like, is more Mexican and white, Mexican and black, Asian and white. Multicultural to me is like when you have more than two. So you have three different cultures. But we definitely are a culture, and I would love to, like, see us start, like, coming together as our own culture and teaching, like, this is how we are, because we do have things that are, certain ways, like, and we can kind of turn into chameleons. We might be a little bipolar, but that's because we are bicolor. Hello. So we get that right, you know?
Oh, yeah, I like
So we
that.
do have some advantages, we got to really, like, think outside the box sometimes. And, if I have to turn into a chameleon because it's going to work best for me, Melissa, I'm not mad, because, hey, who wouldn't pull the card? Let's be honest. Like, let's be real. And that's where people go wrong. They don't like the truth. They don't like real. But at the end of the day, if me pulling a certain card is going to benefit me to not have to walk into somebody's jail, or a ticket, I'm going to pull that card. But it usually doesn't work for me, because they already think I'm something. They just don't know what.
Well, I mean, when I would get pulled over as a kid, um, I would hand them my license, and it wasn't very often, but it was every once in a while. They would see my last name. They're like, "Oh, are you related to Tim?" I'm like, "Nope,
Yeah, I
nope.
get.
Just give me the ticket because I can explain it to my mom later." And he's like, "Oh, no, I'll just talk to your dad." I'm like, "Jesus Christ, I'm gonna get in so much trouble now. There goes my summer," kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
I
it is, and I don't know, like, I just would love to see, and it shouldn't have to be like this, I guess, but I don't know. I love being the color I am. There's nothing, that could change the way that I feel about being my culture, my color. Even with all the stuff going on, and even though my heart breaks sometimes, probably the most that it ever has in all 99 years of my life. But
I I think that it has taken me a while to be comfortable with that and be comfortable in my own skin because I always felt like I wasn't enough of either. And I'm
well,
not the
I'm
only
glad
one that
that
felt
you know now, because it really makes it, doesn't it make a huge difference when you know and you can
yeah,
like feel comfortable in that and confident, because
but I'm not the
they're
only
just
one that felt
we're both with, like, we get the best of both worlds. Like, how can you not love it?
right. Well, I wasn't the only one. I mean, my brother felt I know my brother felt the same way and I had three other cousins that also felt because they were half and half they were half white, half Mexican. They felt that same way too because none of us looked the part and none of us acted the part as people wanted to see us act. And I just had to, after a while, come to terms with that.
Yeah. And and I did when I was younger. It was weird because I used to have these neighbors where I lived, and she always used to call me a white girl, and she would call my sister a black girl. And I'm like, and don't, this is nothing, like, I was a kid. I literally was a kid, and I used to be like, I am not black. That's why she would call me a white girl, because I'd be like, I am not black. But now I probably grabbed some more to that side of my culture. But then again, that's what kind of made me say, hey, you know what? I'm not either one. Like, I'm 50-50 on both sides. And I just want to be mixed. Like, I don't want to be either
Well,
one. I don't want to identify as one or the other. And or how about when they ask you to check one box? What do you do? That's a big question I want to ask.
I check Hispanic.
I
Um,
don't, if it asks me for just one, I don't check anything, because you don't make somebody check just one in a world like today.
it that really bothers me because but see here's the thing too with mine is I'm not white, I'm German. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, and they don't even put all that down there. Like, you
right.
know what? I probably am, like, I don't think I'd be Polish, but I mean, I probably do, like, need. That's why I want to do that ancestor kit, just to literally see, like, what, because I'll never get that out of my Caucasian side. Like, they don't care about their history enough for me to get all that information where I could get everything like I got with my dad's side.
Mhm.
But um, I don't know. I guess it is different, but I'm just glad that I'm able to identify as mixed and kind of leave it at that now, because I was struggling a little bit, like, this last year. I was like, well, damn, I had to call the cops on someone, and it was crazy because it was a black dude and a white dude, and they, like, stole the purse from me, and it was crazy. Like, I knew who did it, so I called the cops. And it was during all the rioting when everything first started, and I'm like, I'm really sitting here mixed, calling the cops and reporting a white person and a black person. Like, this is the weirdest shit ever. But I
I
didn't
think
want to do
I
it.
th-
But I mean, it was weird. Like,
I think that like we look at race too much. We
yes,
concentrate
and
on it too.
the kids don't look at it, and we should be able to. If the kids don't look at it and have no idea, there is no reason why us as full grown adults. That's why a lot of times when people ask me what color you are, I'll be like, you know what, I'm just stoned. Because you guys probably already think I'm mean anyway. So if you do black and white on paper, like, it literally makes gray. So I don't know how we're brown as it is. So, like, I'm always, like, questioning that, like, why are we brown and not gray? So I'll be like, oh, I'm stone, or, you know what, I'm human. It doesn't really matter. Like, color does not matter. Like, it's who we are. Like, it's who you are as an individual. It should never ever cause anyone to lose any sleep. However it does, it's in a sad way. But I guess it's almost like the LGBTQ community. There's always going to be hate crimes towards things that other people don't like. There's populations that people don't like, and they're true to heart with it, and it's pretty sad. But you got to kind of give them let them have their shit show and do what they're going to do, because at the end of the day, like, we're beautiful people. Like, we're not just somebody, we're not mutts, we're not, mulatto is like a name that they would call mixed people years ago. And to me, that's like a racial slur. That's calling a white person, the H word, and a black person the N word. As far as I'm concerned, do not ever
When
call me a mulatto.
when we when I did my fans only, there was the one of the girls was her tag was mulatto Barbie, and I asked her about that. I said, "You don't think that's like derogatory or anything?" Like,
It is to me.
and she didn't think so. So I mean, I feel like
I think
there's
only because I feel like that because it was a word that was used years ago and it's not very common nowadays. So I went out one night and this older man, he was like 70, like retired from the army, and he called me that and I was like, wait a minute, like just stop. Like, don't say that, because to me that's like calling black people the N word or white people the H
mhm.
word. But she may feel like that because was she younger? If she was younger, that may be why. Um
Yeah, she is younger. She was I want to say she's maybe 25 at the
So
most.
yeah, she doesn't have her wisdom yet. So that's why she's on fans only too, because she probably belongs there
Oh
talking
girl,
to her.
oh no. I don't knock her for that one. She is making plenty good money with her
No,
body and
there's lots of things you can do on there though, where you don't even, and that's where a lot of people, like they say for business people, like it's a good asset, because you're getting all your fans, that people that want to tune into you, and it doesn't have to be, it's not always a nasty situation.
right, but I mean
You
I don't ever disregard like if you're, in any part of the sex industry, because number one, that is a woman's first career, oldest career in history.
career, what do you mean? They were doing it for free, so you might as well go out and get paid for doing what you were brought here to
Well,
do. I mean, honestly, and I think that's why she, I don't know, like why she would even have that word at that young, but that might be why, because she's younger, and I don't know, it's just not a word that's very much used to me nowadays. So maybe it's something that she's heard a lot more. Is she from like a different part, like a different state, or is she from
no,
here?
she's from the same city as us. Um,
So yeah, maybe she just, she might be comfortable enough in her skin to, it doesn't affect her. To me, I don't want to be called that, man. And maybe that's because, you know what, growing up, a lot of my family that claims to say that they were not racist, they just did not believe in mixing colors. That's what they would call me and my sister is mulattoes. And I think that's why I have a big problem with it now, because it wasn't in a nice way. So that may
yeah,
play a big effect on why I look at it. But it was a very large name that they used years ago.
yeah,
I
I
just
I know that.
try to stay away from it personally. But if
Yes,
she feels comfortable enough, hey, she can't talk about herself if she's biracial, mixed, however, then she has every
she
right
is.
to,
Yeah.
you can't really take that from her.
I mean, I guess everyone. Um. Oh, CJ Rouse is here, who
Oh,
is going to be coming
CJ.
on. Hi, CJ. Um. I feel like everyone has to be comfortable in their own skin. And if they don't feel it's derogatory and they're using it to describe themselves, then that's a completely different
Yeah.
situation than
Yep.
somebody using it against you.
And I think not even when most people do use that word right now, I don't think they mean any harm. I think I take it personal, but I don't think they're saying it in that manner where, where I have to break it down to them like, hey, please, like, this is how I feel about that. And they always respect it, but I don't think they don't mean that either until I bring it to the light to them, kind of. And I'm like, look, please don't. But I
Yeah.
may have the reason, we all have reasons why we feel the way we do. So if she's confident enough to, and she doesn't see anything wrong with it, then hey, that's great, because that is what we were called years ago.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in a bad way. It's just what we were. So maybe I
I
should identify as a mulatto, huh?
It
So
is
we get it.
completely what you want to identify as. And that's the other thing I want to just before because we have 3 minutes left. Um I want to identify with everyone. It is what you want to identify with, not what somebody else is telling you you have to identify with.
Yes.
It took me a very long time to be comfortable and say, I'm German and Mexican, and not just say, I am Mexican and try and fight it. I now
Right.
can say, I am German and I am Mexican and I am both, and I don't have to choose one or the other.
Yep, you're absolutely right, and we don't because I'm gonna say we have the luxury of saying that we're both, and we are both, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and we do get the best of both worlds. And you
Amen.
guys are not biracial, multicultural, mixed, you guys are kind of missing out. So start listening to, when we're talking and stuff, like start listening to us because I don't want my feelings hurt anymore. Like I'm tired of fighting both sides. I love everyone. I don't care what color you are. Doesn't matter. It's the person you are.
Yes. I think that's a very good note to end on. But I do want to have a few little announcements. That next week's show is going to be on forgiveness, correct?
Yes, it's going to be
Okay.
great. You guys tune in so you can know why we forgive and how it affects us if we do and how it affects us if we don't. It's
Yes.
very valid to our lives, every single one of us right now.
We are going to have Miss Candace Sanchez, life coach and author of Unspoken book that I had on my show previous. She is going to come on and help us and talk to us about things that we need forgiveness with. I want to ask all of our people listening to like, share, or comment, but please share, share, share. Invite your
Yes,
friends. We want to really, really get this going, and we want to get out more. We're going to try and get out more and try and get businesses together. And we're in the process of working it. Things have been crazy over on my end. This and Joyce has her puppies, or Jody has her puppies, so those are nuts for her. If you don't see her TikTok at all, she's got these adorable little puppies.
did you see it?
Yes,
I
yes.
got a good one of them. I took them on 2 walks yesterday. They just started flopping down like they were dead and refused to move after like 10 minutes. I woke up this morning, my back's all sore. I'm like, what in the world? Yeah, because the puppies were all dragging me down the street. Isn't that a mess?
Yeah. So I want to thank everybody that has listened, and we will be on next week at the same time. If you want to send us a message, you think of a good idea for a show or an on location, please send us a message. We are open. We will get back to you as soon as we can. And on that note,
So, Missy, also let
yeah.
them know about the group page where we can actually
Oh,
interact and they can post and we can like interact back and forth. Because I want to start
yes.
inviting people.
We
But I
We have
go ahead.
started a listener page that's connected to our regular show page. And this is where you guys can talk to us. You can message us things. If something is, big that's going on that, you think that we should talk about, this would be the place for you to get through to us so we can talk about it. And if you have questions for us, that's where it would be too. And we do keep it, I am going to say, please, we do keep it respectful. So if there is anything that is derogatory, or if you get in a fight with somebody, you might get asked to limit your comments.
Yeah, we are zero tolerance. We will shut down a post if you're, we want to, we understand that it's okay to disagree, but we agree to disagree respectfully. And that's all we're asking as adults. If somebody doesn't agree with you, just walk away or respectfully agree to disagree. And let's just make the best out of everything. If you guys got memes, funny ones, mom ones, dad ones, doesn't matter, like bring it all, bring a friend or bring 10. Like we want you guys to help us build, you guys help us build. That's more we can do out here, and we appreciate the support. Again, support, like, share, comment, let us know you're with
Invite.
us, and that's gonna
Oh,
bring us better things.
and we did get a new, we did make a little new logo for the show. So that's going on up there in the right hand corner. So we are just growing and we are learning and enjoying ourselves doing this show.
We
So
might have some twerking coming up. Ain't no telling, twerking through downtown first Fridays. Look, Missy, you know what? I thought about that too. We can go to like restaurants and like we got some things coming up that are going to be adventurous and fun. And we're tired of talking about COVID. We're tired of everybody. We're all coming back out. The masks are going away. The smiles are coming back out. So we want to like go with that vibe. And we need you guys to help us to get there. So we appreciate you all.
are you teaching me how to twerk? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, so if you come duet
Okay.
me on TikTok, then I can boom,
Oh,
boom,
Jesus.
boom. You know.
Okay. On that note, have a great week. Make good choices and stay safe. Talk to you next week. Bye.
You guys.